In this video I'll be showing you how to jack up a vehicle in case you need to change a flat tire or you like to rotate your tires yourself to get some extra wear out of the tread life. For starters, before you jack the vehicle up, you want to loosen the lug nuts first. That way when the tire is free spinning in the air, you don't have to fight the tire spinning and have to lower the vehicle back down to break the lug nuts loose. You only want to break them loose. You don't want to take them off all the way. You just want to take the torque off of them to begin with. So I just do one turn like that on all the lug nuts. Now I have a wheel lock. Some people might not have a wheel lock and you would just need the appropriate size lug nut wrench to fit your lug nuts. Okay, so now that they're all loose, we can jack up the vehicle. The thing that you should do before you go to jack up the vehicle is place a wheel chock behind the opposite side of the vehicle that you're jacking up. This ensures that once the vehicle's off the ground, if it were to roll, the chock will catch it. So I usually just use a block of wood, put it behind the rear tire, and that's it. Now that you have the lug nuts broke loose off the wheel that you're taking off and the vehicle chocked so it doesn't roll when it's in the air, next you want to find a place under the vehicle to put your jack. I have a floor jack. If you're on the side of the road changing a flat tire, you'll be using the jack supply with your vehicle. Those aren't the greatest, but they get you by in the situations where you need to change a flat tire. So what I usually do, I'll find a sturdy point under the vehicle, usually along the frame somewhere. If it's a car, they'll have jack points labeled usually for the jack that's supplied with the car, because these floor jacks will fit under there, but not everybody keeps a floor jack like this in their vehicle. So if it's a truck or Jeep like this, I usually go along the frame or an axle, because those are usually pretty sturdy and they don't let the axle droop if you were to jack it up just by the frame. Then you'll just be jacking it up higher and higher until the suspension, bottoms out, and then the tire will be coming out. So I usually will get it underneath the pumpkin here on the axle, since I'm doing this side. If I was doing the other side on the front, I would go further towards the other side on the axle, but since it's on this side, I choose the pumpkin. So just jack it up until the tire is off the ground and it can free spin, like so. And the purpose of breaking the lug nuts loose first is because if you were to do that first and then try to break the lug nuts loose, you'll be fighting the wheel spinning while you're trying to undo the lug nuts, and that's just a bad thing. So next, if you have them, jack stands are a good thing to have. They're just a little extra insurance to where you can let some pressure off the jack if the hydraulics in the jack were to, start letting the vehicle come down. But most people won't have them, so the regular jack you have should work. You just take extra caution in bumping the vehicle when it's just supported by the jack along. So once you have the jack underneath the vehicle on the same point or somewhere similar to where it's not going to cause damage to the vehicle, you can relieve some pressure off the jack and let it rest on the jack stand, like so. Now I usually will leave the jack underneath as a little extra insurance, just in case it were to slip off the jack stand. But now that the tire is able to free spin, we can start taking the wheel off. So now we can start taking the wheel off. You want to take your lug nut or lug wrench and just finish spinning the lug nuts off. Since they should be loose now from you breaking them loose before, take them off one by one. Set those aside to where you don't lose them, because if you do lose them, that's a bad day. See, there's a little bit of tire spin from it still being a little tight on there, but it's not super tight to where you're going to be having to let the vehicle back down and jack it back up just to break the lug nuts loose. It helps to have a breaker bar like this. Sometimes people will keep a four-way, what is called a four-way in their vehicle. Looks like a cross you see in the Walmart a lot of times. They have different size lug wrenches, lug nuts on them, but this I have it specifically for this. I keep it in there for roadside emergencies, or if I'm out on the trail riding or whatever. I have the least amount of tools I can carry to where it's not over cluttered. Usually the last one's a little hard to get off because the weight of the vehicle is, or the weight of the tire is holding it on because it's leaning on it, but that's okay. Once you get that last lug nut off, you're ready to take the tire off. Now once you get ready to take the tire off, just make sure the area's clear, nobody's around it, so if it were to come down with the tire off, it doesn't, you know, crush anybody and cause injury. So with bigger tires like this, you want to grab it on each side like this and just give one firm tug, and it comes right off. So now that you have the front tire off, if you were to be rotating your tires, you would repeat the same process on the back on the same side. If you have radial tires, or if you have bi-split tires, you would do the opposite corner on the rear. To do that, you would need to repeat the same process I did on the front, except you would need another jack stand to support the rear once it's jacked up, because you're going to need the same jack unless you have two jacks. You would need another jack stand in the back to support that as well, once you have, because you'll have two tires off the vehicle at the same time. And if you were to rotate them, you would just bring that tire to the front off the rear, and the one on the front to the rear, with respect if they're radial or bi-split. But if you were just changing your flat tire, you would do like we did shown first, and then you would take your replacement tire and just put it on in the same spot. So you can bring it over, try to get the lug nuts lined up, or studs lined up with the lug nut holes. Now these bigger tires, sometimes you have to get underneath them like this and then just kind of raise them up with your feet, like so. But if you have a car, a lot of times the tires are pretty small and easy to maneuver. So once you get it lined up, all the studs to the wheel, start putting your lug nuts on. You would just want to, you know, get it to where the wheel is supported by the lug nuts on the studs now. And then once you get all these on, you can start snugging them down with your lug wrench, 4-way, breaker bar, impact wrench, or, you know, whatever tool you have. And whenever you do so, you want to go in a crisscross pattern to make sure that the wheel seats on like it's supposed to. Because if you go around like this, it might not seat correctly, so you go in a crisscross pattern. If it's a five lug nut, you want to go this way, kind of like a crisscross star. If it's 6 lug, you kind of crisscross the same way. If it's 4 lug, you just go opposite corners. But most vehicles are 5 lug. So you kind of do that, and just crisscross it like so. Now you might have a little to support it with your foot or something to hold it, because as you can see, the wheel is moving because it's free spinning. That's okay. You don't have to get them all the way tight yet, because once you let it down, once it's seated all the way, once you let it down, then you can torque them down the rest of the way. And then the last one. Now I usually go around one more time to make sure there's no extra slack, and because you don't want to let it down on the full weight of the vehicle and will not be seated all the way, because then it won't seat right either. Okay, now we're ready to let the vehicle down. We're ready to lower the vehicle off the jacks. In this case, I'm using a jack stand, so all you would have to do is raise the jack up a little bit to take the pressure off the jack stand, and just lift the lever to take the jack stand out and lower it down. done with that. And now it's just being supported by the jack along. So just lower the jack down slowly. Let it down all the way. Get that out from under the vehicle. And now we're ready to tighten up the lug nuts. The last step in changing a flat tire or rotating your tires is to tighten up your lug nuts. Some vehicles require torque spec. You refer to your vehicle's owner's manual to find out that torque spec, or find some information on your vehicle specifically to find out what that torque spec is. I personally don't torque them. This is an older Jeep, so it doesn't really matter that much to me. I tighten them down pretty good. If you're in a pinch, you don't have a torque wrench, you just tighten them down pretty well and then take it somewhere to get it torqued down if it requires a torque. So once the vehicle's down and on the ground off the jacks, just come around, just give a couple good tugs like this on the lug nuts. And then once it bottoms out, you can't really tighten it anymore. You don't want to go too tight because you could break a stud. If they start creaking or whatever, then you're probably going too tight. But like this, it's fine. Just get a few good snugs on them after going crisscross. And then go back around one more time full circle, and then you'll be done. Usually get one more good snug on them like this going around the last time. And that's it. So you should be able to remove a tire off your vehicle if you find yourself in a flat tire situation on the side of the road, or if you are a person like me and likes to do your own maintenance, you should be able to rotate your own tires now by watching this video. Thanks for watching.